Okay, in this video we're going to introduce circles, and in particular we're going to write the standard form of the equation of a circle. So a circle by definition is a set of all points, and we use x and y for any point in that set, in the plane whose distance, called the radius, from a fixed point called the center is constant. In other words, the distance from the center of the circle to any point on the circle, that radius, is going to be the same distance all the way around the circle no matter where it's drawn from. So if our x and y coordinate on the circle is here, and this is our distance from the center, that's our radius, that's going to give us the same distance as going from the center to, let's say, this point on the circle. So it's essentially the distance from all the points on the circle to the center is going to remain the same throughout. So the equation can be found by incorporating the distance formula or just Pythagorean theorem. So we have the difference in x coordinates here, x minus h squared, and then a difference in y coordinates, y minus k squared, like a squared plus b squared is c squared, x minus h in parentheses squared plus y minus k in parentheses squared equals r squared, the radius squared. So example 1, we're going to write the standard form of the equation of a circle with a center at -2, 3 and a radius of 5. So much like with parabolas, x minus h and y minus k, we have x minus -2 in parentheses squared and y minus 3 in parentheses squared equals 5 squared, and just cleaning up x minus -2 as x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 25. Alright, example 2, write the standard form of the equation of a circle which has -1, 3 and 2, 4 as endpoints of the diameter. So in other words, we have 2 points on the circle that if we connect them with a segment will go through the center. So the center is going to be the midpoint of the endpoints on the diameter. So we're going to take the midpoint of -1, 3 and 2, 4, which is just taking the average of the x coordinates and taking the average of the y coordinates. So for our x coordinate of our center, we take -1 plus 2 and divide that by 2. For the y coordinate of our center, we take 3 plus 4 and divide it by 2. So simplifying that, we get the center coordinates at 1/2 and 7/2. So the radius is going to be half the length of the diameter. So our diameter again goes from -1, 3 to 2, 4. So if we find the distance between those 2 points, 2 minus -1 squared plus 4 minus 3 squared, again, 2 minus -1 squared plus 4 minus 3 squared, that'll give us the square root of 10 as the length of the diameter. Bear in mind, though, the radius is going to be half that amount. So if the diameter is the square root of 10, the radius is the square root of 10 divided by 2, or half the square root of 10. So we have our h and k from the previous slide. We have our value of r from this slide. So with h at 1/2, k at 7/2, and r as the square root of 10 over 2, we have x minus 1/2 in parentheses squared plus y minus 7/2 in parentheses squared equals square root of 10 over 2 squared. Now square root of 10 over 2 is going to be square root of 10 squared, which is 10, over 2 squared, which is 4. And 10 over 4 reduces to 5/2. So our equation of our circle with those endpoints as a diameter is going to be x minus 1/2 squared plus y minus 7/2 squared equals 5/2. Alright, that about does it for this video. I will see you next time.